welcome to the next update of the Ffarquhar Replica layout. Right, now we've gone a bit ahead of time here with this one here because so far now we've already got most of the scenery work done. And if I pan out just there, you can just see how much of the scenery we have done. So here we have the hillside looking over Ffarquhar with the tunnel mouth. And if I pan over here, we have like the river bridge leading into Hackenbeck. Then we have the road bridge. Then here, camera zoom, focuses there. There we go. We have a little hillside here, the level crossing, where the signal box will be entering Ffarquhar. There's Thomas Cousins, the mechanics, and then comes into the station here, where we have Thomas waiting with Annie and Clarabelle. Now, at the minute, there's still a bit more work that's taking place at the minute. Now here, what's happening right now is where Thomas is right now, we're currently relaying part of the track, which there was a bit of a mistake with the run-round loop, where I explained in one of the videos in the text that it has to be relayed because it wasn't long enough for Thomas to have Annie and Clarabelle in, because the original line has it's enough to the main station route siding or line is meant to take up both Thomas and Annie and Clarabelle. The original one did, but it wasn't big enough. It was only just like a couple of centimeters shorter. So I just basically just relayed it and have a new bit added onto it there. But first of all, let me just explain to you guys how I went about making up the scenery. So the first majority one here, which we'll talk about, is the hillside, because this is some hill. Now, the hill is basically made as cheap as I can here. Most people would go for like polystyrene blocks or chicken wire for their hillsides, then overlay it with plastic bandage. I, on the other hand, went for a different method, and just in the camera there. I went for a different method here, and what I did is that I used a few sheets of polystyrene, very little, but then on top of it, to create the terrain, I actually made some newspaper pillows. Now basically it's just done by rolling up a bit of newspaper inside so you can create like a little bit of a cushion, and then you create like something of like a wee cushion ball. And then what I did is I placed them around certain areas where the terrain would be. Again, looking back at the Railway Modeler article just to get an idea as to how the hillside was formed, and to try and get a close representation of what the hillside looked like. So overall, it's a pretty much close version. On top here, instead of plastic bandage, now plastic bandage can be a lot of weight to add on to the baseball when it's being folded up, because this is the side where I'm thinking we're going to be folding it up, because the other side has all the wires, and we want to try and keep them all clean, tidy in ways. So it's a bit of importance to have everything on this side of the baseboard stuck down permanently, so that we don't have any bits flying over and getting into unwanted parts of the thing. So anyway, the top layer is, instead of using plastic bandage, I ended up using again more newspaper soaked in PVA glue and then dripped over, and it created a very nice hard shell afterwards. The grass is something which BR Man 101, now called BR Man 102, he gave me this idea of using hanging basket liner. Now you can get rolls of this stuff in hardware stores for like probably about £3. That's how much I paid for my one. You can get them in two different colours, either green, which is what I have here, or brown. Now there are some areas on this here, on the hillside, which I still need to do on the far end, where I need some more grassland here. Now sadly I ran out of this stuff because there was enough on the roll for this part of the hill here, short bit down here, that hill over there, and also that one over there. And the effect is really good. I mean, it really does look like wild grass. And once you give it a bit of a trim and roughen it up in some ways, it'll look even more better. Now you've only have like a certain color with this here, so I decided to turn it down in some areas. So what I did is I made up a wash of sap green and some brown, and then just tap it in with a paintbrush, and it's brought up some really nice textures on it. So the only thing that just needs to be finished off on this hillside here is to have a fence made up from matchsticks. Just need to get the wire onto it there, get it finished off, and also here, which is mentioned in the story of the little people, the last story, is there's a tunnel shaft right here. So I'll need to see about making one and getting that fitted onto the layout. Now, next item that was focused on was the road bridge. Now the road bridge was a huge issue to deal with because, as mentioned here, the track had to be altered in some parts because it didn't fit in well with parts of the areas. So the road bridge was one example which was a huge issue to deal with. My original one that I used in my first Ffarquhar layout, which is that's it there behind the layout there, just stacked up there, just so it's out of harm's way, and also so I can have space and all to work in here. The road bridge is actually made for that was actually made from 2 tunnel portals with a polystyrene hill. With this one here, I can't really get a good angle here because there's a whole lot of items blocking this here, but I'll just show you briefly here. Let's just tilt it slightly here and not really get an angle of this, but what you can see here is that this it's basically just a card structure. Basically what I have is I had these sheets of very thick card, and using it there, trying to make up the run up to the hill, and then after getting the loading gauge right with the portal section here, mainly with Percy because his whistle was filing against that there. So once I got that right, I then covered the whole thing in super quick stone paper, which I had handy, and for detailing outlines here, so this here, this is just basically some grey card. Same thing here with the buttresses here. So then the roadway is just some Javis scattered materials, which I find Javis scatters very, very good when it comes to doing this sort of stuff, and there is a few Woodland Scenics items in there as well, which I incorporated in. Talking of Woodland Scenics, all the bushes on this line, apart from some of the trimmed like fancy style bushes that I have on the roadside, all the rest here are Woodland Scenics because I find they look really, really good when put onto this. There's a couple more items which were made for the layout. One in particular is well, we've got the feature of the level crossing. That's let's get there. That was just a wee item I bought off Amazon there. The gates only cost me like about £1 or so here. They're just Pico gates. What's that wee square is going to be the signal box here, because I haven't got a signal box small enough that would suit it and fit the dimensions of well, fit the appearance of the one shown in the original. But next to it here, you might not see that well here, just above the Thomas & Cousins here, there's a little coal stave. That's just basically a block of balsa wood with matchsticks around it, and then coated in wood dye. So it's a nice little feature to add in here. Parts of the siding had to be changed in some ways just so Thomas and so the other engines can access it in ways. Another feature is the backgrounds here. The station part, you can see part of it has been removed. That was because the building that was there didn't sit well in the proportion where that cut was. So we're going to try and see and get another building just to merge that in, and then try and blend some foliage material in that there, just to hide the gap in there in that ways. And then we'll see about having a built easy factory in that area there, just so it blocks off some of that portal leading into the fill yards. Fill yards I'll talk about later on in another video, but that's pretty much all I have now for the minute regarding to that.